Hello and welcome to sudoCODE. We had been talking a lot about REST APIs in past 4-5 videos. And also we have talked about headers, but we have not explored headers in depth. You might have been afraid of headers and you might get uncomfortable feeling when you see headers like X hyphen something something, and it might seem scary or something cryptic to you. But trust me, it is very simple, and I'm going to use a very easy analogy for you to understand what HTTP headers and REST API headers are. In this video, we are going to cover the same. I am going to cover the concept of headers with some examples, and also I'll share some links so that you guys can understand headers in detail. So let's get started. You already know that APIs are a way to transfer data from one node to another, or from one system or one machine to another. Okay. Now, when you transfer that data, you have some protocols, and we have seen that how you can modify resources, create resources, and fetch resources. Okay. Now, when you transfer this data, just imagine that you are transferring some piece of information or some knowledge closed in an envelope from one person to another. Okay, like say one person is client, another person is server, and an envelope is getting transferred in form of API, and that is the mode of communication. The contents inside that envelope are actually the data that is getting transferred from one person to another. But you might also know that when such communication happens in real life, when letters get exchanged or important papers get exchanged, on the top of the envelope there is also the address to whom this data has to go to, right? And there are also addresses that if this data cannot go to the concerned person, then please return this envelope to the concerned person who has sent it, right? This is just an analogy, and I just want to explain that headers also play a similar kind of role. Headers are sort of indication for the metadata of what the response or request consists inside. Now, in order to understand this in detail, let me start with categorizing the headers. So, API headers can be categorized or can be grouped into 4 different categories. There are request headers, response headers, payload headers, and representation headers. Now, this does not mean that a particular header, which is a request header, cannot be a response header, or both of them cannot be a payload header, right? It is just based on different context, you can understand that there can be different types of headers. Let's get started with the request header first. Request headers are actually the key value pairs, or any header is actually a key value pair that are sent by the client who is requesting for the data, so that server can understand how the server has to send the response, and also the server can get some knowledge about the requesting body or the client. Okay, that is called a request header. Some example of request headers are host, user agent, referrer, connection, accept language, and so on. Now, please note that content type is not a request header. Content type is categorized as one of the representation headers, which we are getting to very soon. Now, from this list, you can easily see the key and value pairs, which are headers, and understand that what these mean. So, the user agent or the host are holding the information that who is sending this request. Accept language and accept encoding are actually the headers which are telling server that this is the language I'm going to understand the response in. So, let's say if the accept language is EN, which means English, that means that the client is telling the server that I'm going to understand the response in English. Okay, same thing goes for accept encoding. If the client says that I can accept encoding gzip, that means it says that if you are going to send me compressed data, I can accept that kind of response. So these are all the request headers which the client is sending, so that the server can understand how it has to form its response. Okay, so this is the role of request headers. There are many more values and examples of request headers which are shared in the description. Next, let's talk about response headers. You might think that response headers are just like request headers, where server is telling the client who is requesting for some information that what to do with response. It is more or less true. Response headers are more like that server is giving some additional information about the data that it has sent. Okay, let's see how. In the example of response header, you can see values like connection, date, server, content type, transfer encoding, etc. Okay, all these values have different meanings, and usually these values are giving some information about the response. For example, that date is giving the response that this is the date that I have sent, date and timestamp that I have sent the response. Last modified is telling that this is the time that response have been updated or modified. E tag is one of the important response headers that you should understand. It is used for versioning and cache. If you want to know more about it, let me know in comments and I will cover it in a separate video. Once again, I would like to mention that content type and content encoding are usually considered in the category of representation headers, but technically speaking, those are also part of response headers or request headers. I just want you to know this distinction that content type, content length, etc. are representation headers, which we are going to discuss now. Now, let's talk about representation header. As you might have guessed from the name of representation itself, representation headers talk about the data that has been transferred. Okay, now the data that has been transferred from one server to another can be in different formats. It can be XML, it can be JSON, it could be encoded in different formats, it can be sent as one piece of data at a time, or the response is so huge that it has to be chunked and sent in different chunks or different set of bytes, and then the server has to tell the client that okay, I'm going to send different chunks of data for one response, and this is the content range that I'm going to use so that you can read it, right? This is the importance of representation headers, and the examples of representation headers are content type, content encoding, content length, content range, and content location. Content location is one of the fields that we might be discussing in future also. It just says or tells about an alternate location of the resource or the data that is available for the client to retrieve the information from. So it can be a URL where that particular resource is sitting. Apart from these three categories, there can be different headers like trailer or transfer encoding or e-tag, if none then match, authorization headers, and many more. If you want to know about any of these in detail, you can let me know in comments and I will try to create a separate video on the same. Now, these are the predefined HTTP headers, right? Now, what happens if you are writing APIs and you are implementing APIs and you want to define your own custom headers? Can you do that? Yes, you can do that. The way you are defining the request structure of your APIs and the response structure of your APIs, similarly, you can define and implement different headers that you are going to accept. For example, many people use authorization headers in order to authenticate the user who are going to use their APIs. So authorization is one of the famous headers that people use and customize it accordingly. And there are many more headers that you can use, custom headers basically, that you can use in order to implement the logic on your site, where you don't want that information to come to the server in the form of payload. You want it is not directly related to the payload or the data. It is some kind of metadata, or you want to do some extra processing on it. It is needed for the context of the application. That kind of information goes into custom headers, and you can implement your own headers as well. I hope with these examples and these different categorizations, it might have become a little bit clear to you what headers are used for, what are the different kind of headers, and how you can implement custom headers. If there are any headers or any particular headers which you don't understand or which you want to refer to, I have included many resources in the description. In spite of that, if you feel any of it is confusing, or if you want to dig deep into one of the headers or couple of headers, you can always comment on the video, and I will try to make a follow-up video. Till then, take care. See you in the next video.